She was born mute. They thought that made her harmless. When a powerful family crossed the wrong man, she watched her father disappear into prison, framed, condemned, forgotten. Years later, she entered their house as a maid. She didn't ask questions. She didn't speak. She listened. And somewhere inside that mansion was the truth they never meant to survive.
The room is colder than it needs to be. Not freezer cold, just enough to remind you that comfort is not part of the design. Marisa Reyes sits with her hands folded on the metal table, fingers resting lightly against each other, as if they might drift apart if she lets them. The glass between her and her father is thick, spotless, and faintly reflective. It turns her face into a ghost when the light hits it wrong. A guard coughs behind her, not impatient, just present. The clock on the wall ticks too loudly. Victor Reyes enters from the other side, escorted, cuffs already removed, but the weight of them is still in his shoulders. Prison blues hang looser on him than the last time she saw him. His hair has more gray now, especially at the temples. His eyes, though, those haven't changed. Still sharp, still scanning, still a cop even here. He sits. The phone on her side of the glass stares at her, black, waiting, useless. Victor picks up his receiver out of habit, brings it to his ear, pauses. Then he sets it back down. A small smile tugs at the corner of his mouth, tired but real, like he's correcting himself, like he remembers. Marisa lifts her chin in greeting, not a nod, something steadier. They look at each other. It takes effort not to press her palm flat against the glass. She learned that early, how the glass doesn't give, how it makes the ache sharper, not better. Instead, she hooks her fingers together and breathes through her nose. In, out. Victor mouths her name. She reads it easily. Marisa. His lips move more slowly than they used to. Careful. He knows she watches closely. He raises his brows slightly, the old, "You okay?" look. She shrugs one shoulder. It's a lie, but it's the kind he taught her, small, survivable. A guard announces, 20 minutes, like it's a gift. Victor glances at the clock on the wall behind her, then back to her face. His jaw tightens just a little. Time matters in here. He leans closer to the glass. His voice doesn't carry, but his mouth does. They still don't listen? Marisa exhales through her nose, almost a laugh. She reaches into her bag and pulls out her notebook, flipping to a page already worn soft at the edges. She slides it forward, turning it so he can read through the glass. No. She taps beneath it with her finger, once. Hard. Victor's mouth flattens. Not anger, calculation. He looks past her shoulder, checking the guard, then another, then the camera in the corner. He keeps his movements natural, casual, like a man talking about the weather. That's not going to change, he mouths. Her pen scratches quickly. I know. Another line, shorter this time. But they're wrong. Victor nods once, slow. I know, he mouths back. Silence stretches between them. Not empty, weighted. The clock ticks. Marisa notices things she always notices. The faint buzz of the fluorescent light overhead, the way the guard nearest the door shifts his weight every 30 seconds, the smudge on the glass near Victor's shoulder that someone forgot to wipe away. Her father's hands rest flat on the table, his fingers twitch once, then still, a habit from long hours behind a steering wheel, from waiting. He leans in again. You have to stop trusting uniforms, he mouths. Her pen pauses. Bad men wear them too. She looks up sharply. His eyes hold hers, serious now, not fatherly, professional. Especially here. She swallows, slowly, nods. The clock clicks louder. Victor glances at it again, then back to her notebook. He lifts a finger and taps the glass once, lining it up with the page. Read this part carefully, his lips say. Marisa flips back a few pages, instinctively. Her handwriting tightens as she rereads her own notes. Dates, names, arrows connecting things no one else sees. Victor watches her face, not the words. When she looks up, he nods, once, approval. Then his eyes flick down, toward the bottom corner of the page, where she's drawn a small box around the date. The execution date. Printed, official, red. Her pen hovers, hesitates. Victor's mouth tightens. 5 years, he mouths. 5 years sounds like a lot when you say it fast. It isn't. The guard behind her clears his throat. Victor straightens, the moment breaking. He gives her a softer look now, something almost gentle. "You're doing well," he mouths. She shakes her head. "Not enough." His smile fades. The clock ticks again. The minute hand moves. Without looking away from him, Marisa reaches down and uncaps her pen. She draws a second circle around the date. Then, carefully, deliberately, she draws another one. Victor's eyes drop to it, then lift back to her face. Something unreadable passes through his expression. Fear, pride, guilt, love. The guard steps forward. "Time!" Victor stands. Marisa closes the notebook, presses it to her chest. As he's led away, Victor turns once more, just long enough to mouth the final sentence. "Be careful who you trust." She doesn't nod this time. She watches until he disappears through the door. Only then does she exhale. The clock keeps ticking. 5 years isn't just his sentence. It's hers too.
The coffee is bad. Burnt and thin, like it's been reheated too many times and given up trying. Marisa can smell it the moment she steps into the office. It clings to the air, to the walls, to the stack of manila folders leaning like tired soldiers against the filing cabinet. Rafael Cruz sits behind his desk with his sleeves rolled up, elbows planted wide, staring at a single sheet of paper as if it might confess if he looks long enough. The office is small. One window, blinds half broken, a standing fan that rattles instead of cooling. On the wall behind him, an old license plaque reads, "Private Investigator, California." The frame is chipped on one corner. Nothing in here pretends to be more than it is. Marisa closes the door softly behind her. She doesn't knock. Rafael told her once, years ago, that knocking is just asking permission from people who already know you're there. He doesn't look up when she enters. "You're late," he says. She lifts her wrist, taps the face of her watch twice, then points at the street outside the window. Traffic. Rafael snorts. San Diego traffic doesn't count as an excuse. It's a personality flaw. She gives him a look, flat, unamused. That finally gets his eyes up. He smiles, brief and crooked, then gestures to the chair across from him. "Sit." She does. The chair creaks under her weight. Rafael notices, makes a mental note to fix it. Later. Always later. He slides the paper across the desk toward her. His fingers linger on the edge for a second, like he's reluctant to let it go. "Tell me what you see," he says. Marisa leans forward. The paper is a photocopy, grainy, slightly crooked, a police report, date, time, location, cause of death. Her eyes move fast, trained. She doesn't read like most people. She maps. Her pen is already in her hand. She circles the timestamp, draws an arrow to the responding officer's name, underlines the signature at the bottom. Then she looks up. Rafael watches her face carefully. He's learned her tells, the slight tightening around her eyes, the way her jaw sets when something clicks. She flips to her notebook, writes quickly, and slides it back. Time of death doesn't match the call log. Rafael nods. Good. She writes again. Captain signed off before autopsy. Better. Another line. Evidence tag numbers were reissued. Rafael exhales slowly through his nose, leans back in his chair until it creaks in protest. "Yeah," he says quietly. "That's what I thought." The door to the back room swings open without warning. "Please tell me you didn't drink the last." Diego Morales stops mid-sentence when he sees Marisa. He freezes, one hand still wrapped around a chipped mug, the other holding a packet of sugar. His hair is damp, like he just washed his hands or splashed water on his face. He grins anyway. "Oh, hey." Marisa lifts her chin in greeting. Diego looks between them. "Am I interrupting something serious, or is this the usual quiet judgment hour?" Raphael doesn't look at him. Coffee. Diego sighs theatrically. Of course you drank it all. Marisa reaches out, taps the empty mug in his hand, then points to the pot in the corner. Empty. She raises her brows. Ugh, wow, betrayal from both of you. She smirks despite herself. Diego refills the pot. Movements easy, familiar. He talks while he works, always does. So, he says, glancing over his shoulder, on a scale of 1 to we're all going to prison, how bad is it? Raphael rubs his temples. You ever hear of Victor Reyes? Diego's hands are still. Slowly he turns. The cop? Marisa's eyes sharpened. The one on death row? Diego continues, quieter now. Raphael nods once. That's her father. Diego looks at Marisa, really looks this time. The notebook, the pen, the calm that doesn't match the story. Shit, he says softly. Marisa doesn't react. Raphael taps the paper on his desk. He was framed. Diego lets out a humorless laugh. That's not exactly breaking news. This was surgical, Raphael says. Internal, clean. The kind of frame job that only works if someone high up wants it to. Marisa flips to a fresh page. Why? Raphael's jaw tightens. He stands, crosses the room, and pulls open a locked drawer. The metal protests, screeching softly. He ignores it. From inside, he takes out another folder, thicker, older. He drops it on the desk, because he got too close. Marisa opens the folder, shipping manifests, corporate filings, donation records, all stamped with the same logo, Adam Medical Supplies. Her pen pauses. Diego whistles low. The Adams? Like those Adams? Raphael nods. Cleanest public image money can buy. Marisa writes slowly now. Medical. Raphael meets her eyes. Drugs, he says, just the kind with prescriptions. Silence settles, heavy, intent. Diego sets his mug down untouched. And they framed a cop to protect that? Raphael leans forward, palms flat on the desk. They didn't just frame him. He taps the execution notice clipped to the front of the folder. They're trying to erase him. Marisa's grip tightens around her pen. Raphael watches her face carefully. This doesn't end with paperwork, he says. If we pull this thread, it leads somewhere dangerous. She doesn't hesitate. She writes one word. Good. Diego lets out a breath that's half laugh, half belief. You're terrifying, he says, not unkindly. Raphael closes the folder, slides it back toward her. They don't kill cops unless they're scared. Marisa meets his gaze, and for the first time since she walked in, Raphael Cruz decides to act.
The house shines. Not the warm kind of shine that comes from windows thrown open or floors worn smooth by living. This brightness is deliberate. Polished stone, spotless glass, light bouncing off white surfaces until it feels almost sterile. Marisa notices it immediately. The Adam estate sits above La Jolla like it was placed there to watch the ocean rather than belong to it. High walls, cameras tucked neatly into corners, a gate that opens silently as if even sound has been trained to behave. She steps inside with her head slightly bowed, uniform crisp, hands folded in front of her. The agency badge clipped to her chest says domestic staff, nothing more. No one asks her name. The foyer smells faintly of lemon cleaner and something sharper underneath. Metal, maybe. The kind of smell that never fully leaves a place once it settles in. A woman in a tailored gray suit moves toward her, heels clicking softly on the marble. She doesn't smile. You're the new one, she says, already turning away. Follow. Marisa does. Her shoes make no sound on the floor. She adjusts her pace to match the woman's stride, half a step behind, invisible, correct. They pass framed photographs lining the hall, charity galas, hospital wing openings, Richard Adams shaking hands with governors and mayors. His wife appears in several of them, dark hair, sharp eyes, a smile that looks practiced. Then the photos stop. No explanation, just empty wall. The woman gestures toward a side door. Kitchen staff enters through there. Don't wander. Marisa nods once. The kitchen is large, immaculate, and strangely quiet for its size. Stainless steel gleams under bright lights. A chef barks orders in a low voice. No one yells, no one laughs. She's handed a list. Floors, hallways, upstairs bathrooms, third wing only if summoned. Mute? One of the other staff asks, glancing at her. Marisa taps her throat lightly and nods. Figures, the woman mutters. Easiest kind. Marisa lowers her eyes. She counts footsteps instead. It's mid-morning when she sees him for the first time. Anthony Adams stands at the far end of the hallway, phone pressed to his ear, his free hand braced against the wall like he needs the support. He's tall, neatly dressed, dark hair combed back with precision that feels more like habit than vanity. "Yes," he says quietly. "I understand." He listens, jaw tightening. "No," he says again. "That won't be possible." Marisa slows her steps without stopping, keeps her head down, watches his mouth in the reflection of a framed mirror as she passes. "We can't keep pretending nothing happened." His eyes flick toward her. For half a second, their gazes meet in the mirror. Something unreadable crosses his face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. He turns away. Marisa moves on, heart steady, pulse measured. The patriarch appears later. Richard Adam enters the room the way men used to enter courtrooms, without rushing, without raising his voice, certain that attention will follow. He's older than she expected, silver at the temples, back straight, eyes cold and assessing. He doesn't look at the staff when he speaks. "Schedule," he says. A man beside him hands over a tablet. Richard scans it, frowns slightly, then looks up, not at Marisa, but through her. Efficiency matters. Mistakes cost lives. No one responds. Marisa files the tone away. Not anger, control. She cleans around him without acknowledgement. Her presence doesn't register, just the way she prefers it. It's in the afternoon that she notices the woman watching her. Antonia Adams stands on the upper landing, one hand resting lightly on the railing, posture relaxed, her hair pulled back tight, face composed, eyes sharp enough to cut glass. She doesn't pretend not to look. Marisa feels the weight of her gaze like a hand between her shoulder blades. Antonia smiles faintly when Marisa glances up, just enough to be unsettling. Then she turns and disappears down the hall. Dinner prep brings the house to life in controlled ways. Orders murmured, dishes placed with care, no wasted motion. Marisa wipes down a counter near the study when voices drift through the partially open door. Male, low, cautious. "She wouldn't have wanted this," someone says. Anthony's voice answers, strained. "You don't know what she would have wanted." A pause, then a name. Evelyn. Marisa's hand stills on the cloth, just for a heartbeat. Her eyes lift to the door. She doesn't move closer, doesn't lean in. She doesn't need to. Anthony speaks again, quieter now. "We're still cleaning up her mess." Silence follows, heavy, loaded. Marisa resumes wiping the counter, movement smooth, unhurried. Her reflection stares back at her from the polished surface, blank, harmless. No one notices the way her grasp tightens. No one sees her write the name Evelyn later that night in her notebook, small and careful. The Adam house gleams under its lights, but Marisa already knows this brightness isn't warmth, it's survival.
Silence changes how people behave. Marisa learns this by the second day. By the third, she understands it. By the fourth, she knows how to use it. The Adam house breathes differently when no one thinks they're being heard. Voices loosen, sentences trail, secrets stretch their legs and wander into the open. "Careful," a housekeeper murmurs to another as Marisa passes with a linen cart. "She's deaf." "Mute," the other corrects, not lowering her voice. "Same thing." Marisa keeps her eyes down, pushes the cart forward, counts the steps between the pantry and the service stairs. 23. The tile under her feet changes texture at 17. A hairline crack she can feel through the sole of her shoe. She files it away. In the east wing, two men in suits talk freely while she dusts behind them. "She's not like her brother," one says. "No," the other replies. "Anthony has doubts. Anthonia has vision." Marisa adjusts a framed photograph without looking up, watches their mouths in the reflection of the glass. Vision. Interesting word. Later, she learns the staff schedule by heart. Who smokes behind the loading bay? Who takes phone calls on the back terrace? Which doors are locked after midnight and which are locked always? She learns the cameras too. There's one blind spot near the staircase, barely a foot wide, where the feed overlaps just enough to leave a sliver unseen. She only notices because the hum of the camera shifts when she steps through it, a fraction of a second, like a held breath. She steps back. Again. Yes, there it is. She doesn't smile. Anthony passes her in the hallway one afternoon. He nods politely, hesitates, then signs something awkwardly with his hands, an apology maybe, or a greeting. Marisa blinks, surprised. She signs back, clean and precise. His eyes widen. "Oh," he says, forgetting himself, then catches it, lowers his voice. "Sorry." She shakes her head gently. It's fine. He watches her for a second longer than necessary, like he wants to ask something but doesn't know how. Anthonia appears at the end of the hall. Anthony straightens immediately. The moment fractures. Marisa lowers her gaze and moves on. In Richard Adams' study, the air feels heavier. Not warmer, just dense, like it's been holding its breath for years. She dusts carefully, eyes flicking to the shelves. Books on medicine, economics, law. No fiction, no personal clutter. On the desk sits a framed badge. She stops, just for a fraction of a second. The badge is old, police issue, the metal dulled with age, mounted behind glass like a trophy or a warning. Her heart doesn't race, it goes quiet instead. She steps closer under the pretense of cleaning, tilts her head, reads the engraving upside down. V. Reyes, her father's badge number. Her fingers curl slowly into the cloth. The room feels smaller. She forces her breathing to be steady, in through her nose, out through her mouth. No reaction, no sound. Someone is watching. She feels it before she sees it. Anthonia stands in the doorway. "Careful with that," she says lightly. "It's important." Marisa nods, sets the badge back exactly as it was. Her movements are respectful, submissive. Anthonia steps inside, heels silent on the rug. She circles the desk, eyes never leaving Marisa's face. "Do you understand English?" she asks. Marisa nods again. Read lips? Another nod. Anthonia smiles. It doesn't reach her eyes. "Good," she says. "Then you understand this." She leans in, close enough that Marisa can smell her perfume, something sharp and expensive. "People like you survive by not noticing things." Marisa keeps her gaze low. Anthonia straightens. "Make sure that doesn't change." She leaves. The room exhales. Marisa finishes cleaning with hands that do not shake. That night, after the house settles and footsteps thin, she moves. Barefoot now, uniform replaced with dark clothes that don't whisper against her skin. She times the security rotation by memory, slips through the blind spot near the stairs. The study door is locked. Of course it is. She kneels, fingers brushing along the underside of the desk. Wood grain, smooth. Then metal, a seam. Her pulse kicks once. She presses gently. The panel slides open with a soft click. Inside, a small keypad, a safe embedded into the desk itself. Her breath fogs the metal. She doesn't touch it yet. She memorizes it instead. The model, the wear on the buttons, the faint scratch near the corner, right-handed user, frequent access. This is it. The thing everyone is afraid of. Footsteps echo down the hall. Marisa slides the panel closed, smooth as water, and retreats into the shadows just as a light flicks on. Anthony steps into the study alone. He stares at the desk for a long moment. Then he rubs his face with both hands and whispers something she doesn't need to hear to understand. Marisa watches from the darkness. The safe sits silent, waiting.
It starts raining in the late afternoon. Not hard, not dramatic, just enough to soften the edges of the house and turn the glass walls into mirrors. The kind of rain that feels like a pause rather than a storm. Marisa is wiping down the terrace railings when Anthony steps outside. He doesn't notice her at first. He stands beneath the overhang, sleeves rolled to his elbows, staring out at the ocean like it's something he's lost and can't admit to missing. The rain dots his shirt, darkening the fabric in uneven constellations. She keeps working, slow, methodical, present but forgettable. "Do you ever wonder," he says suddenly, "what a place remembers?" She stills, just slightly. He glances at her, then gestures awkwardly. "Sorry, you don't..." She lifts a finger, points to her eyes, then to him. "I can listen." He exhales, a sound halfway between a laugh and surrender. "Figures," he says quietly. The rain grows steadier. "My mother used to love this weather," he continues, voice low. "Said it made people honest, like the sky was forcing things out." Marisa sets the cloth down, faces him attentive but neutral. Her posture says nothing. Her stillness says everything. "My mother died when we were younger," he says. "Everyone knows that part. What they don't know is how." He swallows. "She was in the wrong place, trusted the wrong people. My father called it an accident." His mouth tightens. "Accidents don't come with men who never get arrested." Marisa watches his lips carefully. Men, never arrested. Her chest tightens. Anthony runs a hand through his hair. After that, the house changed. Rules multiplied. Doors locked. Conversations stopped happening in front of us. He huffs softly. Antonia adapted fast. I didn't. Marisa tilts her head. A silent question. He meets her eyes. Really meets them this time. "I hate what we do," he says. No hesitation, no qualifier. "I hate pretending it saves lives." The rain drums louder against the glass. Marisa writes quickly on her small notepad and turns it toward him. "Why stay?" He laughs, sharp and humorless. "Because leaving doesn't stop it. Because blood doesn't come with an exit clause." He pauses. "And because if I walk away, someone worse takes my place." She studies him. This isn't a confession meant to impress. It's tired, old, worn thin. Inside the house, a phone vibrates. Anthony ignores it. For a moment, they stand together in shared quiet, rain filling the space words can't. From the driveway below, Diego watches. He's leaned against the hood of Raphael's car, pretending to scroll through his phone while his eyes flick up to the terrace. He sees Anthony's posture soften, sees the way Marisa angles her body, not closed, not guarded, connected. Diego's jaw tightens. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't move, just memorizes the shape of what he's watching and files it somewhere painful. Back on the terrace, Anthony gestures toward the rain. "You don't talk," he says carefully, "but you don't disappear either. Most people do one or the other." Marisa smiles faintly, a ghost of an expression. She writes again. "Some of us learn to stay." He nods. "Yeah." The moment lingers too long to be safe. A shadow crosses the glass behind them. Antonia stands inside, perfectly still, watching. Her gaze flicks from her brother to Marisa, sharp,
assessing, calculating. Marisa feels it. Not fear, not yet, but pressure, like a lens tightening. Anthony doesn't notice. Antonia turns away. But she doesn't forget. The rain keeps falling, and the house, which has survived worse, adjusts its attention.
The lights flicker for the first time just after midnight. Not enough to draw attention, just a brief dimming, like the house blinking. Marisa feigns it before she sees it. She's in the East Wing hallway, polishing a console table no one ever uses. The cloth slides over the wood. The light above her hums, stutters, steadies. Flicker. Her shoulders stay loose. Her breathing stays even. The Atom House doesn't do accidents. Voices drift from the study. Anthony's, low and tight. Another man's, older, sharper. Wasn't supposed to happen like that, the man says. Marisa adjusts the framed vase on the table, angling her body just enough to catch the reflection in the glass. She reads mouths, not faces. Wasn't supposed to happen. Anthony's jaw clenches. She wasn't supposed to be there. The other man scoffs. She insisted. You know how your mother was. Mother. Marisa's hand stills for half a second, then resumes its rhythm. Anthony leans forward, palms braced on the desk. A deal went bad. That's what you keep saying. His lips thin. Deals don't end with bullets unless someone panics. Silence. The older man looks away first. That shipment was compromised, he says. The border was hot. Tijuana was crawling. Someone talked. Anthony exhales through his nose. And she paid for it. No one answers. Marisa feels the air change, thick, metallic, like the moment before a storm breaks. She doesn't need to hear the word cartel spoken. It sits there anyway, heavy and undeniable. The cloth in her hand comes away damp. She doesn't remember spilling anything. She steps back quietly, heart steady, mind racing. Evelyn Adam didn't die because of bad luck. She died because violence is the currency of secrets. Outside the mansion gates, Diego waits in the car. He hates this part, the waiting, the not knowing, the uselessness of being on the outside while Marisa moves through danger with nothing but silence and nerve. His phone buzzes. A text from Rafael. Anything? Diego types back with one hand. Not yet. The house is too quiet. The buzzing comes again. Not his phone this time. Footsteps. He looks up. Two men approach from the side of the driveway. Not staff, not security. Their movements are wrong, too direct, too certain. Diego straightens, instinct firing. Hey, he calls lightly, like he belongs there. Private property. The first punch comes out of nowhere. Pain explodes across his jaw. The world tilts. He stumbles back, catching himself on the hood of the car. Stay down, one of them says calmly. Diego spits blood onto the concrete and laughs. That's usually not how conversations start. The second punch is harder. He goes down this time, shoulder slamming into the ground. Someone kicks his ribs, once, precise, practiced. Cartel work. Inside the Atom House, the lights flicker again. Antonia stands in the security room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the live feeds. Her face is calm, focused, efficient. Clean it, she says into the phone, inside and out. She watches Diego's figure crumple on the monitor, then looks away. Move anything sensitive. Tonight. A pause. Yes, the desk too. Marisa hears the order from the hallway. Not the words, but the urgency. Staff begin moving faster, voices sharpen. A security guard unlocks the study door with shaking hands. Marisa passes him carrying folded linens, head down, pulse controlled. She sees it. Two men lift the desk panel open. The safe is exposed, metal gleaming under harsh light. Her lungs forget how to work. They unbolt it. One man grunts with effort as they lift the safe free from its housing. Marisa keeps walking, doesn't turn, doesn't run. She counts steps, measures time, forces the panic down into something cold and usable. Outside, Diego lies still, tasting copper, watching the sky blur above him. Somewhere far away, sirens begin to wail, but not for him, not yet. Inside the Atom House, Antonia watches the safe being carried away, her expression unreadable. Good.
she says softly. "If it exists, it can be found." She turns off the monitor. Marisa reaches the service stairwell and grips the railing hard enough to steady herself. The thing they're all afraid of is gone, moved, hidden again. And for the first time since she stepped into this house, Marisa understands the truth fully. This wasn't just about protecting an empire. It was about erasing the dead and the living who remembered them.
Night comes down gently. Too gently, Marisa thinks. The kind that pretends nothing terrible has happened, that the world hasn't shifted on its axis just hours earlier. The ocean breathes below the cliffs, steady and indifferent. Her hands are still trembling when she reaches the terrace. She presses them flat against the stone railing until the cold leaches the shake out of them. Wind threads through her hair, tugging loose strands against her cheek. It smells like salt and rain and something burned underneath. Anthony steps out a moment later. He looks worse than he did this afternoon, tired, hollowed, like the house has been scraping pieces off him all day and finally decided to keep them. He stops when he sees her. "Hey," he says softly, as if afraid to break something already cracked. Marisa turns. She doesn't write this time. She reaches into the pocket of her uniform and pulls out her notebook anyway. Opens it, not to a blank page, but to one already filled. Dates, names, arrows. Her father's badge number written so many times that it's nearly torn through the paper. Anthony's eyes track it, brow furrowing. "What is that?" he asks. She flips the page. Police report excerpts, a captain's signature, Adam Medical shipping manifests. His breathing changes. She flips again. A photograph, blurred, printed badly, but unmistakable. A body on a warehouse floor. Evidence logged, then relogged, then disappeared. Anthony swallows. Marisa points to the badge number, then to herself, then to him. She taps the execution date twice. Understanding lands slowly, horribly. "Oh," he whispers. The wind gusts harder, snapping the edge of her notebook. "You're saying," his voice falters, "your father?" She nods once. "He was framed," Anthony says, disbelief cracking through his control. "By us." She doesn't correct him. He drags a hand down his face, paces once, twice, then stops, staring out into the dark. "That evidence," he says, "the stuff I kept, it's not just dirty money, it's a life." Diego finishes quietly from behind them. Anthony startles, spinning. Diego stands a few feet back, one arm strapped to his ribs, jaw bruised, eye swelling shut. He looks like hell. He looks like he showed up anyway. Marisa's breath catches. Diego meets her gaze and gives the smallest shrug, like it's nothing, like pain is just weather. "I didn't come to interrupt, just to make sure you're okay." She steps toward him before she can stop herself. Her hands hover, uncertain where to touch without hurting him more. He smiles faintly. "I've had worse." She writes fast. "Who did this?" He shakes his head. "Doesn't matter. It means you're close." Anthony stares between them, guilt etching deeper lines into his face. "My sister moved the safe," he says quietly. Marisa's chest tightens. Anthony meets her eyes, "But I know where it is now." The words hang between them. Diego watches her carefully. "Before this goes any further," he says, voice low, steady, "there's something I should say." Marisa looks at him. "I love you," Diego says. "No drama, no expectation. I don't need anything back. I just needed you to know." The wind tugs at his jacket, at her hair. The truth sits bare between them. Marisa's throat tightens painfully. She reaches for his hand and squeezes once. Gratitude, trust, something gentler than romance, but no less real. Anthony looks away, jaw clenched.
This evidence, he says, voice rough, can stop the execution. If it goes public, federal, he exhales. It'll burn everything. Marissa nods. He hesitates, then reaches into his pocket. A folded slip of paper, worn soft. He presses it into her palm. The combination, he says, to the safe. Her fingers curl around it. Anthony meets her eyes. Whatever happens next, I choose this. She holds his gaze, heart pounding, knowing the cost. The wind rises. Somewhere inside the house, a door slams, and nothing will be the same again.
Morning arrives without mercy. Harsh, white daylight pours over San Diego, bleaching shadows thin and sharp. Nothing hides in this kind of light. Not dust, not lies, not fear. Marissa stands in Raphael's office with the blinds open for the first time since she can remember. Sunlight cuts across the desk, illuminating stacks of documents, flash drives laid out like instruments, phones charging against the wall. Diego sits on the edge of a chair, ribs wrapped, jaw still purple, eyes alert despite the pain. He hasn't slept. None of them has. Raphael checks his watch again. Once this goes, he says, we don't get to call it back. Marissa nods. She doesn't hesitate. She presses send. The files leave her laptop in clean, silent lines, encrypted packets splitting and multiplying, landing in inboxes that don't belong to San Diego cops or county judges. FBI servers, federal watchdogs, journalists with long memories and little patience for threats. The truth doesn't explode. It spreads. Across the city, across state lines, across screens. By noon, black SUVs climb the hill toward La Jolla. Sirens stay off. No need. Everyone already knows. Marissa watches the live feed on Diego's phone as agents pour through the Adam estate, vests marked FBI, weapons drawn, movements precise. Richard Adam is led out onto the front steps, hands cuffed behind his back, silver hair immaculate even now. He scans the crowd once, face tight with disbelief. His eyes pass over the camera. They do not find his children. Anthony walks into federal custody that afternoon without being chased. He sits across from two agents in a room stripped of personality and chooses his words carefully, like a man finally setting something down after carrying it too long. He talks about shipments, about borders, about bribes and captains and sealed files. When he's done, one agent slides a document across the table. Reduced sentence. Anthony signs it without smiling. In a prison hours away, Victor Reyes is pulled from his cell and escorted down a hallway he knows too well. This time, the door opens outward. A warden clears his throat. "Mr. Reyes," he says stiffly, "your conviction has been vacated." Victor blinks once, then twice. He grips the edge of the table to steady himself. Marissa watches through the glass partition as her father steps into the light, older, thinner, but upright. His eyes find hers instantly. He smiles. Outside, cameras flash, headlines race each other, names fall from pedestals. And somewhere in the noise, something crucial goes missing. Raphael's phone rings. He listens, frowns, hangs up. "Anthony Adam didn't make it to holding," he says quietly. "The car never arrived." Marissa's chest tightens. No relief, no victory rush, just awareness. The city hums under the sun, pretending balance has been restored. Marissa looks out the window, scanning reflections in passing cars, glass and movement. Silence no longer feels like safety. It feels like a warning. Because when federal eyes look everywhere, someone is already gone.
The road stretches open and quiet ahead of them. Not empty, just unclaimed. Marisa sits in the passenger seat as Raphael drives, the car moving steadily away from the prison gates. The sun sits low, warming the asphalt, turning the air gold. Wind slips in through the cracked window and brushes her cheek like a cautious hand. In the back seat, Victor Reyes exhales. It's a real breath this time, deep, unrestrained. Marisa watches him in the side mirror. The lines in his face haven't disappeared. Prison doesn't give back what it takes, but his shoulders are straighter, his eyes are clearer, free in the way that matters. He catches her looking and smiles. She presses her palm flat against her chest and nods once. The moment is small, private, earned. They stop at a diner just outside the city. Nothing special, just chipped mugs and vinyl booths and a waitress who doesn't ask questions. Victor orders coffee and drinks it like it might vanish if he looks away too long. Diego slides into the booth across from Marisa, careful with his ribs. He doesn't say anything clever, doesn't fill the space. He just stays. When Victor excuses himself to the restroom, Diego reaches across the table and nudges Marisa's notebook toward her. She writes, "Thank you." He shakes his head. "I didn't do this for thanks." She adds another line, "I know." That makes him smile. Outside, a television mounted above the counter flashes breaking news. Authorities confirm Richard Adam remains in federal custody. The volume is low, but the name carries. Victor returns and watches silently, hand wrapped around his mug. The screen changes. Sources say Anthea Adam was not among those arrested. Her whereabouts remain unknown. Diego's jaw tightens. Raphael swears softly under his breath. Victor closes his eyes for a moment, then opens them again. "Figures," he says calmly. "The sharp ones always run." They leave the diner shortly after. Back on the road, the city reappears in the distance. Glass, steel, motion. Life resuming like nothing cracked open beneath it. Marisa watches reflections slide across the windshield. Cars pass. Sunlight glints. Normalcy pretends to be permanent. At a stoplight, she notices it. A black SUV crossed the intersection. Windows are too darkly tinted. Engine idling. Not rushing, not lost. When the light changes, it doesn't move. Her pulse doesn't spike. It settles. She memorizes the shape of it, the angle, the patience. The road opens again. Behind them, the SUV turns smoothly into traffic. Marisa doesn't look back. Some enemies survive the truth.
Does the story end here? Should I write a part 2? Type continue if you want a part 2.